Hello everybody! Before I begin with this video, I need to clarify that I'm in no way an expert on this topic. Instead, I'm a student just like you, probably, who is watching this at the moment. Additionally, English is not my first language, so I hope my accent is not too hard to understand. And one more thing. In this video, we covered some of the basics of grammar, but the understanding of some terms such as morphology, syntax, subject, object, direct object, indirect object, and such is expected. But what is this about anyway? Well, we define grammar as a set of structural rules that dictate the composition of clauses, phrases, and words that conform each language and dialect to ever exist. Figuratively speaking, grammar serves as the skeleton of a language, forming consistent rules particular of it, a structure to place the words and create the body of a language. The existence of these rules leads to better consistency and universal understanding among its users, thus allowing for successful communication processes. These grammar rules operate on three levels. First, the subsentential level, or word level, which focuses on morphology. Then there is the sentential level, or sentence level, which focuses on syntax. And last but not least, the suprasentential level, or speech level, which focuses on discourse and multi-sentence compositions. But I will focus on the sentential level. Yep, the sentential level, which is not really any less weird or confusing at first, but let's give it a shot. The sentential level of grammar focuses on the composition of sentences, taking into consideration not only the rules of structure, but also word choice, function of words, context, overall message, and its intended purpose. It would be useful to mention the difference between a sentence, a clause, and a phrase. All of them are groups of words, but each of these groups of words have some characteristics unique to themselves. Let's take a look at phrases first. A phrase can contain an idea or a concept, but has no subject and no verb. The idea contained within them only serves as a complement for a larger idea, like Lego pieces. Phrases can be used alone, but you can use them as part of a sentence, where they are used as part of speech. Then, a clause has both subjects and predicates. Sometimes they can act as a sentence as long as they are independent clauses and are able to stand on its own but be understandable. A subordinate clause can also be understood by itself, though there could be a lack of context and antecedent the subordinate clause is making reference to. And finally, a sentence contains a subject and a predicate, as well as it can contain multiple clauses. Uh, Clauses like phrases can be used as parts of speech from major classes like verbs and nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. The more phrases and clauses a sentence has, the more complex it becomes. Now that we are past this brief explanation, let us move on with the type of sentences, which we are going to see as simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. Simple sentences are generally the easiest ones to spot and analyze. However, by having a great variation of possible structures and the fact that being a simple sentence does not mean that the sentence is short or really simple, this kind of sentence becomes a pitfall in which lots of people fall into, and not only language learners. The following are the possible structures that can be formed when writing a simple sentence. Then we have compound sentences. These sentences are formed by joining two simple sentences or independent clauses with a coordinating conjunction, such as and, or, or, or but. A complex sentence contains an independent clause and one or more subordinate clauses. They are not always placed in a specific order all the time, however. They can go like independent clause plus subordinate clause, or subordinate clause plus independent clause, or subordinate clause plus independent clause plus subordinate again, and such and such. Compound complex sentences is where things get weird. They are more or less common in the English language, in the spoken language, but in a text they are more rare. A compound complex sentence is formed by more than one independent clause and more than one subordinate clause. Say they contain a compound or more than one compound sentence joined by a coordination, like a coordinating conjunction, and then they have a subordinate clause or more than one subordinate clause, and then you keep adding things. Well, I guess this is all. I hope I did not do such a bad job at explaining this and that I did not confuse you more instead. I also hope that this was a bit of help, at least for you, and goodbye.